for Christmas. So who here is traveling over the holidays? It is reported that there's a record number of 120 million Americans who will be on the road for at least 50 miles between now and New Year's Day. And that doesn't count the little stops some of us are making across town to visit family or friends. But from the conversations I've been having with our here in the congregants over the past few weeks, there are a fair few of us on the road. Some of us are now in the air as we speak. And there's even some taking some nice cruises to warm places. And today, we welcome those who are visiting here and joining us for worship. All this talk about traveling reminds me of the famous Christmas classic song, "There's No Place Like Home for the Holidays." What does the song say to us? If you want to be happy in a million ways, for the holidays you can't beat home, sweet home. It's not surprising then that at the center of our Christmas story, which we know so well, is the tale of going home. Mary and Joseph make that 90-mile, 4-day trek from Nazareth to Bethlehem to comply with the emperor's census decree, which sent untold thousands to go to their native birthplaces to be registered. We don't know the mechanics of this census and why it was carried out. We don't know why people were sent to their native birthplaces. Why couldn't people be counted in where they currently lived, like we do nowadays? And what was the timing of this census? The story just doesn't tell us. All we know is that Mary and Joseph made this arduous journey with poor Mary, 9 months pregnant. And the story tells us about the birth of Jesus, but it leaves us, with some more questions than answers. We see pictures of Mary on a donkey, but there's no donkey in the story. We assume there's an innkeeper, but no innkeeper is mentioned. In fact, the word that Luke uses instead of inn is more aptly translated guest house. And a guest house was really a guest room in a private home, not some commercial enterprise. So the place that Mary and Joseph went to was likely to a relative of Joseph's. So it's most likely that Joseph's family had so many people coming in for the census that even their guest room was full. And so Mary and Joseph were given space on the lower level of the house, where the animals were kept. How many people here heard that Jesus was born in a stable? Well, actually, the Bible doesn't say that. It was probably, again, that lower level of the house. And lodging in this room was not necessarily seen as a slight, because over the centuries, people have slept with domesticated animals to bring warmth, companionship, and protection. There was simply no stigma at that time attached to it. As an aside, now, it's going to take a little detour for a minute. There are good theological reasons to put Mary, Jesus, and Joseph with those animals. Adam and Eve lived in paradise with animals. And the birth of Jesus signifies a new paradise for us. Isaiah tells the sign of the Messiah as the peaceable kingdom, where animals of all types live together. And furthermore, that famous carol, "What child is this?" You know that one? "What child is this?" It ponders, why lie ye such mean estate, where ox and ass or donkey are feeding? In the Bible, the ox is a clean animal, but the donkey was considered an unclean animal. The ox represented Israel. The donkey represented the Gentiles. So, in bringing these two animals together, we have this image of Jesus uniting all humanity in his birth. So Jesus was laid in a manger and became the source from which all people on earth, Jew and Gentile alike, take their sustenance. Consider this. Let's go back to to where Jesus and Mary and Joseph were. Given the strong customs of hospitality in biblical times, it seems completely unthinkable that Joseph's relatives, or anyone for that matter, would turn away a woman about to give birth. Like many of us, when family come into town, you double up, you clean out the spare bedroom or room, you find room wherever you can, but you don't just turn away, right? It does make an exciting story to our modern values and minds, and think that Mary and Joseph were rejected and had to go off to some stable and fend for themselves. While we may turn our nose to a room with animals or a manger for a bed, for ordinary people in Jesus' day, animals and mangers were acceptable. People made do. Bottom line, there was no scandal, nothing to raise indignant minds at how poorly they were treated. And it gives us pause then to think, maybe we've been getting it wrong, because there is actually enough room. We make room. We don't turn away. That's what home is about. You're always welcome at home. Maybe that's the challenge of the Christmas message after all. Because our culture around us wants to insist that there's never enough. There's got to be winners and losers. You've got to fight to get what you want. And what is created is a world of haves and have-nots. We become suspicious of strangers, even distant relatives. We don't want to get too close. We want our space, and we don't want to be inconvenienced. I will always remember the deepest experience of hospitality I ever felt. And it was when I stayed with very poor families in Nicaragua and Mexico who opened their very humble homes, small, cramped homes that would never make it to the cover of Home and Garden. And they opened them with open arms to me and my fellow travelers. You see, I believe our Christmas story would have us rethink again what home means. Home means no one is turned away. Home means there is always space. And if we can't imagine opening our houses to others, perhaps we can start by opening our hearts. Home is where the heart is, as the saying goes. So this Christmas, we are called to search our hearts and reflect. Who are we struggling to embrace right here in our hearts? And who is knocking on the door of our hearts? Because the Christmas story reminds us the person knocking on the door of our heart is no less than Jesus himself. The person who wants to seek a home with us, the Christ child. So the Christmas story invites us to find room for all whom God places in our lives. Our hearts, we find, are full of so much. We are pulled in this way and that way with worries and concerns, fears and doubts. We don't think we can cram in anything more, but that doesn't matter. Jesus is not seeking much room. He's just an itch. Jesus is happy with whatever corner or space you can spare, no matter what it looks like. It can be neat, clean, and orderly, or it can be messy and stinky and overflowing with stuff we find it hard to let go of. Jesus comes to each of us, no matter what it looks like in here. So let us learn from our biblical ancestors whose homes were overflowing but still made space. Let us see the gift of that room, that even with the animals, with that warmth and protection and companionship that is there, waiting to welcome the child Jesus. Because if you want to be happy in a million ways, well then realize this day, you are the perfect home that Jesus seeks. no matter what you got going inside here, your heart, because you are to Jesus, home, sweet home. Amen.